All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you. I am here at the Brewerton Diner. It is 9 minutes with me. You got to get here and try the breakfast, try the lunch. They use all the natural ingredients, awesome butters and oils and all the rest. I'm waiting on the Brewerton burger. I can't wait for this thing. Medium well with some homemade chips on the side. Terrific place to have lunch and breakfast, of course, at the Brewerton Diner. And go like them on Facebook. Go see all the pictures. Go see the Freda picture. Go see all the things that they post. I would recommend the Brewerton Benedict in the morning. You can try some of their hash meals as well, or you can go basic, couple eggs, bacon, sausage, whatever the case may be, and some toast or home fries. So got to get here to the Brewerton Diner just off Bartell Road in Brewerton, the official diner of the ML Sports Platter. I want to talk a little bit about Saturday in college football this past weekend. A few teams that were really impressive to me and a few teams that were not. The three most impressive teams for me, it's very easy to pick in my opinion. Number one is LSU. I mean, that was a home game, middle of the day. They didn't have the nighttime home field advantage, but it's still Death Valley, and it's still incredibly intimidating for even a top five team like Georgia, who a lot of people had pretty much penciled in to the college football playoff one way or another. LSU completely and utterly smoked Georgia. They were awesome in every facet of the game. And you know what's amazing to me with Ed Orgeron's team? This team is taking chances. Ed Orgeron has always been criticized as a head coach who doesn't take chances. He's too rigid. He's a good recruiter, but he can't develop. And right now, LSU, to me, is one of the most impressive teams in college football. I know they lost to Florida the week before, but LSU is a legitimate player in the college football playoff, and I didn't think they would be this year. I thought they'd be about maybe a 9-3 team, but they are a legitimate team right now, one-loss team. Obviously, the rest of their schedule is enormously difficult, but this team has a major opportunity to get into the college football playoff. And the way they handed it to Georgia, the way they controlled the line of scrimmage, the way they took chances, the way they controlled every facet of the game, I was extremely impressed. That was a home game. That was a moment for LSU that they really needed to show people, hey, we're really good too. We're at the top of the SEC as well. Another team you could say that about in a different conference was Michigan. Michigan crushed Wisconsin. Michigan was at home, of course, but that was a gots-to-have game for Michigan as well. They've won out since the loss to Notre Dame in week one, but boy, Michigan looked unbelievable. Their offensive line was so in tune. If you watch, I watched a ton of this game on my phone. We were actually having movie night at the house, and I streamed Wisconsin, Michigan. And when you look at the offensive line, it was so in place. They didn't have a lot of penalties. The mechanics were unbelievable. They blew open holes for the Michigan backs. And then, of course, from there, you've got Shea Patterson, who's a really good hybrid-type quarterback who can get out of the pocket, make plays, extend plays, hit people on the run, and also he can run himself. He was absolutely outstanding in this game. I had David Schultz on not too long ago from Louisiana, and he's an LSU insider, and he actually had brought up Michigan a little bit and Shea Patterson, saying, well, you know, what can you expect here with him? You know, it's going to take him a little while to get into the season. I was mystified by that because I think Shea Patterson's been the best player for the Michigan Wolverines, and I got to tell you, that defense is swarming. That is a very good defense. So they shut them down at the line of scrimmage. They shut down the Wisconsin ground game, and of course didn't allow them really to do anything. And then on the other side of it, Michigan was awesome from an offensive line, controlling the game. Every play seemed to work. Michigan over Wisconsin actually reminded me a lot of LSU over Georgia. You know, you got a conference rival. You're at home. You need that win. You need to make a huge statement nationally to say, hey, we're the real deal Holyfield here. We're major players into the college football playoff. And I think Michigan, they lost the first game of the year, like I mentioned, to Notre Dame. But if they win out, I think they're clearly in the college football playoff. Another team that was incredibly impressive to me from the Saturday that was in college football was a team that, you know what, I don't know if a lot of people are paying attention to this team, but it's the Bulls of Buffalo, the University at Buffalo. This team has explosive players. Leipold's a terrific head coach, and they've got an awesome quarterback in Tyree Jackson who's doing some awesome things, and then Anthony Johnson. I think Johnson's going to be an NFL guy, no question about it. When you look at this UB team, they are so impressive. They get another win on Saturday, and they are going to be going to a bowl. And I'll tell you what, the talent that's come out of the MAC conference, I don't know if people pay attention. was redundant with conference, but the MAC, the Mid-American Conference. I don't think people realize this. I mean, Khalil Mack from Buffalo, Antonio Brown is from the MAC. You have Big Ben Roethlisberger from the MAC at Miami of Ohio. You have so many talented guys coming out of the MAC. Look at all the kids from Marshall. Look at Randy Moss, etc. Chad Pennington. There's so many guys who have come out of the MAC. I don't know if people realize how awesome the talent is there. And look at all the terrific head coaches that have come from the MAC as well. But very impressed with UB. I'm really rooting for those guys. I hope they have a really good year, a good finish to the year. But bowl eligible and one of the more exciting offenses, in my opinion, in college football. Now, in terms of most disappointing teams, I mean, Auburn? I mean, what happened to Auburn this year? This team had the toughest schedule going into college football season, and they pulled off some big wins in the beginning of the year, and now the losses that they've had have like basically canceled out those big wins. They did enough to actually put themselves in great position to be 8-4, 9-3 this year by winning a couple of those tough games on their schedule. Now they've completely backtracked and they lose to Tennessee at home. I mean, how do you lose that game if you're the Auburn Tigers? I don't really know. And you're going to have to really look at the head coaching situation there and kind of what Auburn's makeup is here moving forward. But that was a horrendous loss for the Auburn Tigers. Another team that was brutal, Penn State. I mean, again, in conference, you just choked at home against Ohio State. They should have had that game won. I don't know what James Franklin and the offensive coordinator was thinking in terms of taking the ball out of Trace McSorley's hands at 4th and 5. I know Miles Sanders has had an awesome year for the Nittany Lions, but for Christ's sake, Trace McSorley's your best player. He was running it all over the place. He was throwing it all over the place. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate, and this is the biggest game of the year up to this point against Ohio State, a team that you are trying to keep up with in terms of the Joneses in the Big Ten, and you take the ball out of the kid's hands at 4th and 5. It made no sense to me. So Penn State chokes that game away, and then they come back home. Chance to get back in the win column again. Inferior opponent, Michigan State, down year for the Sparty group, and they lost at home. I just don't understand what the heck was going on with Penn State. That was atrocious. And my other most disappointing team was Miami. I mean, goodness gracious. I know Virginia is finally starting to figure some things out with the head coach and Bronco Mendenhall. Remember, they gave him a shitload of money a couple of years ago. That was part of the wave of ACC coaches, remember, that were added to the original group when it ended up being, yes, Dabo Swinney and Jimbo Fisher and all the rest, but Syracuse got Dino Babers. Virginia got Bronco Mendenhall. There were a lot of teams that brought in new head coaches, you know, all about Duke and David Cutcliffe, etc. Miami brings in Mark Richt. It's been a part of that last few years, the wave of head coaches in the ACC. Miami in the turnover chain last year, boy, is that forgotten or what? Miami goes to Virginia and looks like dump. They can't move the football, stupid mistakes across the board. Miami was horrendous. So super impressed with LSU, super impressed with UB, and super impressed, of course, with Michigan in their wins over the weekend. And in terms of teams I wasn't impressed with, obviously Penn State losing to Michigan State, horrendous job by Auburn losing to Tennessee as well, and then Miami losing a conference game to Virginia. You just can't have that if you want to try and get into a really, really great bowl. So that's kind of the synopsis from the Saturday that was in college football. I'm Mike Lindsley. Thanks for watching 9 Minutes with me on IGTV, YouTube, and Facebook. Again, make sure you get down here to the Brewerton Diner, the official diner of the ML Sports Platter. We are doing things here all the time, podcasts and videos like this. You got to come down and try breakfast, come down and try lunch, and on cue, check this out. I just got my burger right here, the Brewerton burger. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to eat. Make sure you get down here and try this. Try the Brewerton Benedict. Try all the other entrees I mentioned for breakfast and lunch. I'm on Twitter at Mike L Sports. You can download my podcast, the ML Sports Platter, on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.